Well, the show is called Places of Refuge and Artists Here in Batik. And it's basically centered on the refuge here, but other refuges that I'm very fond of as well. But most of the work was done from this area and from the Bass Ponds area, which is part of this system. Batik is one of the oldest ways of making pattern cloth besides weaving together threads of different colors. It employs what's called a resist technique. And in Batik you use wax to repel water. I'm working on a paper called kinwashi, which is a Japanese rice paper that has really a lot of fiber in it, so it's quite strong. And then I'm using watercolor as my pigment instead of dye. Instead of dipping, I am painting. And the process is you start with your very lightest color, or if you want it preserve the actual color of the paper, you put wax over that, and then you put your lightest color over it. Let it dry, and then whatever you want to keep that lightest color, you put more wax over it. So you're building up from light to dark an image with color variation and values. One of the wild cards is that every time you paint over the color, watercolor, like dye, is transparent, and so if you put yellow down and then you put light blue over it, you actually don't get blue for your second color, you get green. So you have color mixing as well as building up value. So I always say it's sort of a metaphor for life. You start out pointing this way and you end up over there somewhere because there are a lot of elements you can't quite control, and that keeps it really fresh. What I'm depicting are things that I see around me and things that I think are interesting looking, are beautiful, but also the fact that everything in nature is under a lot of duress, and change is a part of nature, but the human impact on the environment is pretty obvious, and the weather patterns changing. It's going to impact seasonal migrations. It impacts how the river is either too dry or in flood stage when maybe it shouldn't be in flood stage. And you realize that the impact that humans have had on the natural world has really increased its variability, and it's very hard for animals to cope with that level of change. It's hard for plants to cope with that level of change. It's hard for trees to be as hot as they're getting. And I look at the world around me and I don't want it destroyed. So these pieces are sort of an homage to the world around me that's easy to take for granted. Nature's all around us and it's all important. So that's sort of my inspiration for the show and the work I've been doing lately.